It's Wednesday, May the 18th. Lake level is 923.5. It's been coming down pretty good. It's down about 4 feet since our fishing report last week. And it's dropping down about 6 or 8 inches a day. Water temperature, it's warming up good. You know, it's starting out about 70, 71 degrees in the morning. And for the most part, it's, you know, averaging in the mid 70s. It's probably higher in some dirtier water. But I fished all over the lake the last week or so. The lake's in really good shape. I think there's still some debris up in the Kings River, but I went way up to James River last week. I think I was within about a half mile of Galena, and I didn't have any trouble getting up there. Just had to, you know, watch out for a little debris. But even like the Kimberling City area's got a little off-colored water, and you know, we've had some phenomenal days on topwater. The shad is spawning, so first couple hours in the morning, it's been a bunch of shad all over the place. And you know, anytime in mid-May when you get overcast conditions, it can just be awesome for topwater. And yesterday it lasted all day. Now today it wasn't as good because we had real big thunderstorms this morning. We had to wait a little bit before we went out, so I think that kind of slowed them down a little bit. But there's two different topwater bites that we've got going. One is real shallow, over the tops of the bushes, in the brush and through it and around it. And the other one is a deep topwater bite off the end of docks, in the center of a lot of the creeks. There's a lot of bait out there over 30, 40 feet of water, and you'll see fish come out busting. And also there's been some white bass schooling out there, you know, underneath that bait. But the bait is the key, whether I'm fishing the shallow stuff or the deeper stuff. But in there shallow, I'm throwing a few different baits. It depends how much debris is floating around. If there's a lot of debris, I'm catching fish on a big bite frog. It's and I'm throwing it on 30-pound braid. Got a Gamakatsu. I don't know the exact number or model of the hook, but it's actually a frog hook. It's got a screw lock, and you can use like similar to like a horny toad, and just buzzing it across the top of the water. The good thing about it is if you get them leaves and that brush, you can still work the bait real well. Another bait is a walking bait, like a Zara Spook or a Strike King Sexy Dog. And then a wake bait. This is a Zero Minnow by Spro 110, similar to what we used to call redfin. This one's a Berkeley surge shad. And both of these baits will work real well. A lot of times, like say with that grass and the debris that's in there, you'll get some of it on the hooks and kind of get a wasted cast. But that's where the frog works real good. Also, you know, any type of wake bait. This is a Strike King, I think it's a wake shad. And you catch them on a whopper plopper too. This is a Cyclone Junior that Spro makes. I know a whopper plopper will work as well. The one thing, if you throw a whopper plopper, they usually don't come with a swivel. You'll notice this Spro Cyclone Junior's got a swivel built into the front. And on my whopper ploppers, I'll put a swivel, a snap ring and a swivel on. Reason being, if you pick up some debris, what happens is the bait rolls around on you, and it does that 2 or 3 times, and it'll make a disaster out of your line. So whenever I'm around that debris, I find that swivel will eliminate all that. You know, the bait still won't work right till you get it in to clean it, but it won't make a disaster of my line. And you know, a lot of it's kind of day to day which bait they like better. It seems like if they're aggressive, the whopper plopper or the Cyclone Junior or the frog works real good. But if they start slapping at it and missing it, then it seems like you got to go to a walking bait or a wake bait. A little bit slower presentation, just, you know, coming over the top of the fish's head. So you just kind of mix it up. I find in the morning I can usually fish faster. Then as the bite starts to slow down, it's not finessing, but you got to slow your topwater bait, you know, way down. But you know, I haven't found a certain color that's working. You get it around them and they eat it. And most of the fish we've been catching shallow have been largemouths. mixed with a few spots, a lot of the fish that have been out there around the deeper boat docks. And I'm throwing the same walking baits and wake baits out around the deep boat docks and in the center of the creeks as well. Now, we also caught, today when it got a little tougher, we start throwing a Ned rig and a split shot again. That bite to me seems like it's getting a little harder. I think those fish are moving out a little deeper in a lot of areas. Probably depends where you're at. But we did catch some fish on Carolina rigs and football jigs today, and they were out there pretty deep. They were 25, 28 foot deep on main lake points. Not a lot of them. We had the fish, you might get 1 or 2 bites on a point, and then you might fish a couple points without another bite. But they seemed like they were on main lake points and just on the sides of them. And I could see on my electronics there wasn't very many grouped up there, but I don't think we're that far along from drop shotting some fish. It may be working already. But I haven't had to do it much because we've had a good enough shallow bite going. But today got a little tough on us in the middle of the day, but then later in the afternoon we went back to flipping, and we've had a really good, the flipping bite to me is getting better and better as the water's coming down. It's pulling a lot of them fish back out of the jungle where you can get at them a little bit better. And it seems like as the water warms up, there's more fish getting done spawning. They're actually feeding a little bit more in them bushes. And I've been fishing, several different baits, but normally I like to flip a jig, like a 5-fish ultimate cover jig in them. It seems like I'm getting more bites on creature baits. This is a big bite frog, but you can throw like a beaver style bait. A lot of times you can throw like a baby brush hog or a full size brush hog. I'm throwing it on a Gamakatsu flipping hook, and I've got a tungsten weight on here, and I've been using anywhere from a 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce weight, depends on how fast I want it to fall down in the bushes, and I've been pegging the weight. Usually when you're fishing that thick cover like that, you want your weight pegged because you want the weight and bait and everything to go down together. A jig should be working, but for some reason I'm getting more bites on creature style baits. And I'm throwing on 20-pound shooter Sunline. Some of the problem, if you've got bushes that are in 6 to 8 foot, what I'm doing is flipping in the middle of the bushes. I'm trying to find a little bit more isolated bushes. I'll flip in there and feed line out and let it go to bottom, pump it once or twice. If there's nothing there, reel it up. But when you do get a bite and you've got that bait down there 6 or 8 foot in the bush, it's quite a chore getting them out of there, because by the time a guy feels the bite and sets the hook, them fish are already moving with the bait. And it's not that I'm having trouble breaking the line, because the line's plenty stout. I'm having trouble getting them out of the limbs and out of the bushes in some cases. But we also caught a couple swimming a creature bait through a lot of the brush. So, I think the bite's getting a lot better. Fish you're gonna start seeing the fish out there a lot deeper. I've been throwing a tube a little bit as well, but that bite where I was catching tube fish, Ned rig fish, where I was sitting in 20 feet fishing, 10 to 12, that seems to be getting a lot tougher for me. I'm having to back out and fish a little bit deeper for them same fish. So, like I say, we've got more rain coming in this weekend, but we had just a lot of spot showers, so the lake level hasn't come up anymore. It's consistently going down. It gets down about another 3 foot, and it's coming down about 6 inches a day. To me, when it gets around 9:19, 9:20, the flipping bite is really good, because you got enough water and bushes all over the lake. And a lot of the bites I'm talking about, I've been Campbell Point, down by the dam, I've been up in the James, around Kimberling. It's kind of working all over the lake. I haven't really found any real dirty water. There might be some up to Kings, but most all the water's got good color to it, just right for flipping. And it seems to me that bite is better, later in the day for me. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.